Hello guys and welcome to TFT World Cup Grand Finals, game number 2. Enjoy.
Game. This is how Z10 actually beat Fnatic. Massive wins from the augment choices just early on. And you know, Wolves are saying we are not overachievers. We're going to go with the Prismatic Party.
The Wolves have won the Portal both games in a row. Last time, T1 was actually looking for the Prismatic Prelude, but this time the Wolves said, you know what, no, I think we want the Prismatics, and they'll get them. So we're going to have 3 Prismatic Augments coming through for this game. And you heard Alan on the desk saying, hey, Prismatics right now, first patch of a new set. It's very hard for them to get Augments perfect every time on a first patch. There is some variation in that power level.
And Alan talked about high variance from these prismatics. You know what? What about build a Bud into minor polymorph into a Syndra 3-on-2-1, Clement? Do you like that one?
I think that's a little bit too much
Too
variance
much?
for
I'll tone
me.
it down. Okay,
Yeah.
a Cast it in 3. Is that okay?
Cast it in 3, okay.
There we go.
I'm actually
okay,
so
business.
ready.
Thank you, Clement.
I've been wanting to see it. I've been like, we haven't gotten, at least not on stream, a Build-A-Bud into it. I mean, I know it's like so egregious and disgusting, but I still just like want it for the one time to be like, hey, look at how horrifying this is.
Talking about Kassadin, the 1-2-3 punch has been assembled already on this 1-4. Akali, Kassadin, and the Ashe has been found for now. Syndra up in the front, performing as a tank here in stage 1. One more prismatic augment that I want to touch on is, of course, support golems. Incredibly strong with the support items you get, but also just the body itself in stage 2.
All of the golems, of course, being very powerful. I'm the carry now, really good on stage 3. Gives you that extra body and carry potential to smash through. And of course, the Randuin's immovable object has been a great
What
find.
all
What
three amazing augments.
Good job, Clement.
Hey, would you like
We
to know
called all
what
of them.
3 of the best prismatic augments in the game are? Well, take a look at your screen. We have Shimmer Scale Essence, Immovable Object, and Support Golem.
Unfortunately, no cloak, it seems like, for that synergy with the Mogul's Mail, especially if you have a great tank already online. Will be the support golem, Chalice, and the ZZ Rot. Ari has been picked up. We are on level 3. Could this become an Ari Zoe reroll game? We know that Ari especially is an absolute monster when it comes to getting the extra 30% passive AP from all sources.
Well, he did just pump XP, so maybe not. But we do see a couple of golden tickets, one for each team. Serene and Dooney Juni.
2 support golems on the side of Wolves, and for Bobe, he's going to be the big win streak player here with at what cost. Already going to level 6 now, so it's going to be up to see if one of these golems can maybe snap that streak early and slow him down.
Radiant Relics for SCSC facing Wolves player facing Serene. Does have the Radiant Rabadons on his item bench. I'm curious to see what AP lane wants to go for with that.
It'd be so ideal to be able to play the Ari line with that, but he's already pumped XP. It's not really going to be actually a place you can go just because of how the AP kind of ramps off each other with percent health damage. Absolutely insane, but might just be a Syndra once again.
It does look like Wolves are bringing extra bodies to the board right here as 3 golem players showing up.
Oh, and this, for Bobe, it's dual purpose.
Oh, well,
it's going to be, when you buy XP each round, gain 2 gold. And whenever you buy XP, re-roll your shop. It's a lot of extra econ. Very similar looking to the at what cost as far as the icons go.
Trying to become the jack of all trades when it comes to one of the new augments in the set coming to the prismatics. And right away, we're seeing maybe one of the less stellar options from the support golems. There is variance in TFT. This is a prime example.
Oof. The combinations are so rough. You kind of want to put the gem in the back line, but then you got the chest. It's got to go in the front.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to utilize either one of these support items to its maximum potential. 2 of these multi-striker players now fighting out against each other. Bintum, of course, is going to be tied into the melee line with the Freaky Friday.
For now, just the portal line for SCSC. The Radiant Rabadon's on the Ezreal right now. We'll see where that goes. Could be a Syndra if he finds her. Could still be just a portal flexible line. Knowing that this is Prismatic Party, you know that you have 2 more Prismatic augments coming up. And that could, of course, affect the way that players confront this game in terms of what their game plans might look like and what possibility of augment synergies they have at 3-2.
And we got to look at these 2. Lost streaks with the prismatic ticket. Both potentially going to have to be ready to sell their boards if they're fighting each other. So we've got these 2 screens. Yep, there's Dooney Juni. Sells everything. Does not run into Serene.
So Serene keeps his loss streak for now. Good dodge here, but It does look like there's a lot of players going for this Kog'Maw line potentially. 2 Rumbles being picked up.
Bobe has a Vex and a Veigar on his board right there. We haven't seen much of Veigar since Cambiz went 7th in, I believe, his first or second game in the tournament. Overall, the stats were not good on day 1, and I think that comp kind of expired from most players' playbooks throughout the rest of this tournament.
All right, we're on to the carousel. See 1 tier, 1 bow. Bow goes immediately, and there goes the tier. Serene and Dunizuni going to be able to grab those. I think Dunizuni will be able to get a Rumble alongside it to go with his Syndra. The only 2 units going to be on his board for now as he looks to try and go for a big 3-2 rollback.
I want to call very interesting from Dunizuni. Does not try and finish one of the BIS items for the Syndra right now. Instead, he goes for the 3rd potential component that can work around for the Shojin, for example. Could also flex into a frontline item because he knows he's losing. He's open porting right now. He doesn't need to get powerful now. He doesn't need to slam an item. He's rather looking at the bigger picture of his item economy throughout the first 2 stages of the game.
I think we're going to have a very high cap game right there. Before the carousel, there was only 2 units upgraded across the entire lounge in those 2 Jaces. So a lot of people just going for econ, making sure they have the strongest win out position they can.
Minor polymorph. What if the Zoe becomes a Kassadin, Clement?
Well, there are other options here. What if the Jace becomes something else and you lose
A
Portal?
Kassadin as well. Good idea, Clement. Thanks for bringing it up.
It's a bit too risky. I like my Portal 3.
Oh, Serene gets Dunizuni here.
Ooh.
Full sells the board. Dunizuni did not want to part with the Syndra or the Rumble. Gets punished for it, loses the loss streak.
In the battle of the golems here, one's the carry, one is the support. I think we know the way that Cookie will crumble here. Of course, the Syndra has not really scaled too much, and that means that YGQF for Wolves will be staying healthy, will continue the win streak in this stage 2.
When you are win streaking, you usually don't want to touch the minor polymorph. Just for all of you guys listening out there, just a tip. Don't listen to Panda all the time.
Well, SCSC able to hit an Ezreal 2 to try and continue this win streak, upgrading the board quite a bit.
My question, Casa, is
tough.
that wasted gold or
Yes.
is that combat strength?
I think on
That's the
average
big
it's wasted
question.
gold, but the thing is you're trying to keep this win streak.
Okay.
You have to decide, is it good enough to beat YGQF? And honestly, I mean, I think no.
So if
And
he
it's not
loses
good
this
enough. If
fight,
he loses, it's bad.
Jover.
If he loses, it's Jover. And here we go. We've got the fight between
You
them.
called
to see
it.
Who will be able to keep the streak? I mean, let's see if this Ezreal with the Radiant Death Cap is able to crank out enough damage.
And we saw quite a few fraud allegations on Morgana
looked
in set
pretty
11.
fraudulent, I'm gonna
Do
be
we
honest with
see
you.
the fraud allegations being beat for Ezreal in this game number 2, in this fight number 5 for stage 2? He's almost taken down a Golem. He's done so now. There's a few more tanks to go. A Zoe 2 and a Jace 2, and the front line has melted. Ezreal does not miss.
Okay.
Good shot.
Okay.
He's
He beats
clutching
them.
up.
He beats
Okay,
the fraud
Ezreal's good to
allegations.
go. You
This
can buy
is not
Ezreal.
wasted gold for SCSC. If that was Ezreal 1, he certainly loses, but he gets to break the streak of his opponent and keep a streak into neutrals.
That was absolutely massive. YGQF, they had the double blades there, but wasn't willing to slam them, was underestimating the Ezreal, but he clutches through with a great shot onto 2 targets there, wiping out his backline.
And Veigar's still on the board there. Veigar's a comp that needs infinite gold to really work, because these are 3 costs you're rolling for, not 2, and ideally you want to be rolling on 7. Making it to 7 in a meta like this, where you have the Kassadins and the Kog'Maws really terrorizing you in stage 3, is very, very difficult.
And I think the big problem that we've seen with the 3 costs we mentioned before is just that it's so easy to grief it. Right? It's so easy to stop someone from just going for this 3-star. And so we haven't been able to see the full potential of some of these 3-cost compositions within the 4v4, and that's why the Swain was so surprising. But maybe Bobe, with this dual purpose, can find a way to get there by having these extra shop rerolls throughout the game.
All right, you guys ready? I'm calling it. He's going to transition to Karma.
you totally could.
I think so. Given the items
he
right
probably
here.
will.
I mean,
Yeah.
let us believe for even a few seconds, a few rounds even, is all I ask for.
Okay. We keep the dreams alive. If there is a Veigar 2 to pick up, that would be an interesting decision here. And also, he did buy the charms. Of course, it's a charm you always buy, +2 reroll. It's just 2 extra gold for you most of the times.
Even looking at potentially, having a Xerath on your board in the late game, who knows where you go in terms of stage 4 and stage 5 in those roll downs.
YGQF does have a massive find here. Shapeshifter Nasus with on level 5, 2% odds to hit that one. Gives him the extra HP. And Nasus does actually benefit quite a bit from the AD as well. Very powerful on this stage. It's just such a shame that he underestimated the Ezreal early.
Yeah, ends up losing that streak because of it. And as we look at the streaks, Serene still able to hold on to the loss streak. SCSC still saving HP for the team. Now it's blinding speed potential choice here. Dunizuni has 3 Syndras already.
Radiant Refractor for the Syndra player. One of the Shojin potentially doesn't find the BF sword in the item component anvil. Instead, it will be double Rage Blade right now onto the Syndra. A setup on the left here with the Kog'Maw, Preserver, Jinx line potentially coming through for now a Jinx pair and just that singular Wukong in the front.
Serene has so far lost 21 rounds of combat straight in this series so far. I wonder when he's going to turn the corner because he's making me a little bit nervous.
I mean, we need a little bit more optimism from you, all right?
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, and we even see, I mean, Pandora's items being picked up, trying to go for Abyss on the Radiant side of things is always very risky, especially on 3-2 because now you're rolling this Radiant. But I guess Serene has not committed to winning a round yet, so can still wait to let that roll a little bit longer.
And Shelty has picked up the Pandora's items, the prismatic version. I think he would have loved to just put the Golem on the item bench and see if he can re-roll those items as well. Unfortunately, not the case with the treasure chest and the gem. The anti-synergy there, having, you know, it's going to be locked in for the rest of this game.
Big find here for SCSC. Getting that portal emblem is going to allow him to hit 8 portal fairly early on into the game. That's one of the strongest win conditions that we've been seeing all tournament long. Getting that alternative line and using Rise and that Taric for costs that are not usually picked up.
Lee Sao able to end the streak of SCSC. Now YGQF and Lee Sao challenging for that highest HP in the lobby, whereas Serene, still, we're going to have to see where this goes, right? I mean, Prismatic Ticket, there is a champion duplicator. There's a lot of potential.
Quite a few players really valuing these Radiant items. I think it really goes to show how much of a hyper carry meta we're in right now with things like the Syndras, for example.
And I know what Serene is going for. It is going to be that Radiant Gargoyle Stone Plate, one of the strongest Radiant items with the Wukong already in the front line. The question is, when does he actually find it? Is he going for the 30 loss streak before he turns the corner?
And Clement, I'm sure if you've noticed this as a caster, the opposing team has as well. These Wukongs could potentially be held. It's going to be very hard to see a Wukong 3 come easily, considering that, you know, any player can really slot this threat-like unit on their board for most of this stage 3 and 4.
Getting very nervous for Serene at 42 life here in stage 3. I mean, having 2 back-to-back stage 4 exits, not winning a single round, pretty terrifying as we jump into the carousel. Serene at least going to be able to get the first pick here.
This Nami could be big if you have a tier open, and Dunizuni has exactly that. We talked about it, not finishing the item in stage 2 carousel, instead finding a better full or better half component, the tier. Now picks up the sword on the Nami as well.
Still has that refractor. That's going to be a Spear of Hirana coming through.
Oh, that's going to be massive for the Syndra. They also have a great tank setup in the Eldritch Vertical. Again, this is not a line that we have actually seen win out games, but it's always going into the top 4.
For Lee Sao, we haven't mentioned it, but Giant and Mighty, a really big pickup. One of the best combat strength augments in the game alongside the Golems. As you mentioned, Cass, a great call. The Spear of Hirana is online. Double Rage Blade here as well. An incredibly strong setup for the Syndra, and 5 Mordekaisers already.
Dooney also going for a little bit vertical Eldritch, finding an Eldritch emblem throughout this game. It's going to be nice to be able to potentially just even go to 7 Eldritch in this spot. Continue to get that as the front line. 6 Mordekaisers for Dooney.
This game, though, we do have to point out Wolves in a much better position because they have 2 players that could potentially win out. Lisa, massive win streak with the support golem, and YGQF also on that portal route. So both of them having very high caps. Even if something does happen to Saren and he never finds that Gargoyle Stoneplate Radiant version, they still have a chance.
I'm curious if there are
big hit.
any other items you might be looking for in terms of not just the gargoyles, because obviously waiting for one particular item, it might take 30 round losses until you find it.
I'd be willing to settle with something like the maybe the Adaptive Helm. That version of it gives you a lot of resistances, but you want to make use of the Drew trait that gives you 30 bonus. Oh, but this could be the answer.
Good enough,
yeah.
But now we have no tank items or components really right now. The Wukong 2 has been found. You're going to have to hope that Wolves are going to play fair, going to play nice when it comes to giving you, at the very least, 1 cloak.
I mean, the master plan here ends up just being Jinx Wukong, which has just been very underperforming throughout the entire event so far. 6 Jinxes, 20 gold remaining. Board maybe is stable at this point, but there are some boards out there that are quite strong. Serena has rolled quite a bit of gold.
Oh, and this is a big
Acid
problem about it.
wrapping. Oh, it doesn't quite get there.
The Wukong line is very weak against something like the multi-striker that has a full melee front line, can wrap around your solo carry. If you knew that Bintum was in your pool, you really needed to move that Wukong 1 hex to the right.
And T1 seeing the same exact player having trouble in this game too. As a competitor, you know, being cutthroat, they have to be a little bit happy because it is going to be hard mentally for Wolves to get organized, to stay mentally resilient, saying, hey, it is okay, Serene, you can still bounce back, you can have a massive roll down. I think T1 is even more interested in holding Wukongs and trying to doom the team spirit in this game too.
It's actually kind of funny. I haven't seen any Wukongs being held yet. Jinx just not on anyone's radar. And
I think they looked at the stats and said, you know, well, guys, it's okay.
He can play it. He's allowed to play it. That's
There's
fine.
no Radiant Stone Plate. We're good to go.
Look here at Bintum's board. Back to the multi-strikers. Been a minute since we've seen Bintum on this line, but he did have a phenomenal game early on. I believe against Weibo, where he was able to basically carry his team with some really solid positioning playing this line.
The TG potential here is big as well. The Warmog's a little bit less so. The belt component's not ideal for the multi-striker line. 2 off of the Akali, and the rolls are coming through now for Bintum, trying to once again maintain the 6 win streak into this stage 4.
It does look like Bintum is much further ahead on the multi-striker line. The Akali, like you were talking about, already online, and also has the Callista here. And looking at the golems, I do like the I'm a carry golem a little bit better right here compared to the contradiction golem on the other side.
Mordekaiser 3, 7 Eldritch, scaling the summon that much more,
3-2.
allowing the Radiant Spear of Hirana double Rageblade build to scale into infinity every single fight.
Dooney is absolutely a win-out threat. He's got Syndra 3, Mordekaiser 3, the 7 Eldritch. Look at the big bear coming down onto the board. Look, you're looking at Wolves. I think a bear is a little bit bigger.
And there's so many win conditions for him here. He's also going for the Neela 3 at the same time. A massive bear coming down on this board. Well, YG, unfortunately for Wolves, Serene goes down and they can't win against Dooney Juni. That win condition is going to get very, very narrow. They will have to blow out the rest of T1.
Big roll down coming through though, looking for the Rise, looking for the Prismatic Augment coming through. We know, of course, the Portal Prismatic Party, which means that all of a sudden you have your last chance to find either Economy or Combat Strength or an alternate win condition altogether, especially for this Portal player. Finds the very early Nora. Do we get the Rise upgrades? For now, the answer is no. Only 1 Rise right now.
Already has 8 Portal on his board, especially with the new recruits, is able to fit in a lot of supporting traits in the Shapeshifter and the Vanguard. Blaster going in as well. SCSE is turning the corner. This is a very strong win-out line.
No Diana, unfortunately, on the roll down. One of the ways to really cap out this Portal line even more so, especially if you find a Diana 2. If he would have found even Diana 1, he could have also just committed items to her now, maybe without finding it. He has to think about different itemization altogether.
If SCSC can keep this rod open until the carousel, also it creates a win-out condition from finding a spatula.
Wolves are back, boys. Serene finally won a round. We did it.
And
Took, what,
Bintum
25
has hit
rounds?
Akali 3 with 3 items. Maybe the Warmogs will be impactful in terms of having her survive the damage coming through from the Rise, from the Nami, allowing her to finally assassinate those backliners. And it should be a clean win here. Can the Krug do it all by himself? The answer is no.
So many powerful players on the side of T1 right now. They really played for a very slow game plan. 8 Portal on the board, 3-star Syndra, and then of course you have the double Triforce Akali 3 roaming around. On the same time, we just don't see the same level of power being matched on the side of Wolves. Still struggling to hit a 2-star main carry on the Rise here. Not so sure about the Ezreal 3 plan. I haven't been a big fan of this unit.
Just trying to get more and more value from Portal as a trade. For now, only the Rise 1 holding not just 3 items, but a Radiant item as well. So the upgrade on this unit will be so important. Did hit the Taric too, but he has no items for now. Just a Bramble, actually.
Yeah, SCSC very low on gold now, down to 5 gold on a big loss streak. 8 Portal is online, but as you said, there's not a real carry, right? The Rise is just Rise 1. Nora 1 is just not quite enough damage just yet. However, SCSC very, very close to having this board be at its full potential.
So clutch.
Shelty goes down even with the 7 multi-striker, and it looks like Bintum is on the same game plan, just further ahead because he hits the Pyro emblem for his Callista. So let's see if Shelty with the open spatula is going to go for that.
No Rise, no Diana, so could have been some key upgrades for 2 of our Portal players. A line we just mentioned going into game 2 that we could be seeing that could be relevant for players to have that alternate game path towards a win.
Bobe now falling really low for loss streak, but he is going to deny critically, I think, the bow away from the side of the multi-striker player on Wolves.
Yeah, Bobe in a little bit of trouble now for loss streak, 20 life. Looks like Serene has stabilized quite a bit, so Bobe going to have to try his very best to avoid this 8th place.
Look at this setup from Duni. Zuni was already incredibly strong. We looked at his board on 4-1, but he's found the Giant and Mighty, making this Mordekaiser even more of a threat.
Neela 3.
I think gonna be maybe the player to win this lobby, at the very least to contest that win-out moment, to, again, harvest the HP of his opponents throughout this stage 4, maybe his teammates as well, to be honest, depending on the matchmaking.
This would be the first win Dooney Juni has at this tournament, and finally Sarian turning the corner, going on a 3-win streak, but Woojinx has not performed historically in this tournament.
The matchup of the Titans, Mordekaiser versus Wukong.
Currently, though, the Wukong is 3 items to the Mordekaiser's 1. Double Gargoyle coming through. This is actually the optimal setup for this Woojinx, right? You've got this Radiant Ginsu. You've got these 2 stone plates for the front line. So for now, Serene should be the most powerful person in the lobby. Question is if any of the melee players can find some wrap and get onto the Jinx.
Can't believe 3 costs might be carrying the day here in our finals. The meta always evolving more and more. Also, some players going for Ezreal 3 at the same time. So, a very interesting turn of events.
A TG pickup here. Diana was found, skipped over, found again. And this board for now, it's mostly just the Karma and the Nas is trying to put in the work. No items, unfortunately, for the Fiora 2, for the Gwen 2, that could be doing so much carrying, but there's no item augments in the selection here for Bobe.
This dual purpose being one of the hardest augments to pilot overall. It does feel like a reroll, feel like a tempo. Most of the time you're going straight level 8, but if you don't pick up enough pieces on the way, it could just be a very flat exit for Bobe. Now going up until a lot of these big reroll players that have already finished their main carries, it's all going to come down to Fiora.
Dooney Juni was able to weaken his board significantly for Bobe to try and help him hang on a little bit longer, and it looks like it worked, getting all the items off of Mordekaiser. Looks like benching even Aniko. That made it so Dooney Juni's gonna have to take a hit, but Bobe gets to survive.
And the emblem as well, a smaller summon, and the TG on this Fiora was absolutely insane. Last Whisper Titans, no Omnivamp, but just fantastic items coming onto that secondary carry, the melee bruiser line for that player. We're gonna look now at this Rise, and the Ezreal Clemens still in the cards potentially for SCSC.
Yeah, he's got the duplicator, but still hasn't paired the Rise or the Nora, and that's what SCSC's been waiting for with this duplicator, making it very tough because his front line is starting to get there, right? Taric 2 still got a couple of upgrades, plus 8 Portal is going to give you a lot of help there with these little golems coming through, just not having the damage.
The key
Div
thing
is
about...
big.
Oh, go ahead. The 8 portals is you just get the extra items for your tank line, and means that your Rise can actually scale up a lot harder. Whenever I'm playing Portal, the most important thing is just build all of your items on Rise, rely on the Portal to itemize your frontline tanks, and scale up later with the attack speed.
If duplicate the Rise wants to roll, considering there are a few things to hit here. The Ezreal 3, first of all, scaling the Portal a little bit more, as well as that Rise 2, but finally duplicates the Rise, wants to try and go 9, try and find those legendaries that end up capping this board that tiny bit more, become the win-out player, Diana, Nami specifically, and of course, the Nora 2, still big upgrades to be found.
Runs into Serene here, the Jinx Woo, dealing with the portals. Both of these stall compositions, but does feel like the Jinx is going to ramp up a little faster than the portal, just throwing out little things. A lot of damage from the Ezreal even now, but the front line already gone. This Jinx doing so much work.
The
SCSC
Rise
gonna be in a lot of danger.
on the wrong side. If it was on the Jinx side, maybe that splash damage would kill off that Jinx before she ramped those Rage Blades. Not the case for now. And Bobe also taking a big hit. All of a sudden, a few players from T1 are going to be in big trouble. Bobe on 4 HP, SCSC on 2 lives.
Yeah, and the only one in danger for Wolves is Shelty at this point because Serene might still have the strongest board in the game.
Absolutely. It's crazy for Serene. 26 lose streak on this series, turns the corner, goes into a 6-win streak. And going on the composition that we really didn't think too much of, the Wu Jinx composition, one of the worst comps earlier on, but because there's so many resources in the game and there's people taking out Ezreals and Mordekaisers, it actually became quite efficient to hit.
Looking at Bobe on his last life. Can this Fiora put in the work? Titans, Last Whisper, Preserver Emblem onto her. Kalista on the opposite side, still 1-star. We haven't found the upgrade, but there is a Radiant Red buff, the Crest of Cinders, trying to put in that work. Fiora finally comes onto the Kalista, and because of the low HP on the 1-cost unit, she's able to clean up. It's just down to the Kassadin, the 1v3. The Karma does her bit. The DOT is on, and Fiora cleans up. Shelty now down to 1 HP.
Such a huge win for Bobe. SCSC also going to take a big hit. If the T1 players can hold on and send Shelty 8, it's such a huge boon for their team.
It's time.
It's the Ezreal 3, yay!
The Ezreal that was rewarded for winning that last fight in Stage 2. That's why he's hung on to him for so long. And hey, he gets a Shojin as well.
I'll be honest, I would much rather put the Ezreals in the pool and make sure the Wu Jinx player doesn't hit as easily. I feel like that's
too
probably
late.
a
It's too
better
late
use
for
of
that,
money.
Clement.
All right, well, Bobe and SCSC in a lot of danger. SCSC not having the itemization here yet, going up against Dooney. Dooney not able to weaken himself this time, and I think that's going to be it for SCSC, but Serene going up against Bobe, and we do have the Jinx being taken down immediately. Gwen, you were talking about the Gwen AI, Panda, but it looks like it might have carried Bobe to surviving another round. The Gwen just tearing up the backline.
And the Gwen is not done yet. Snip from left to right. Every backliner taken down. The double crown guard shielding her, making sure she doesn't int at the beginning of the fight, and then all that extra AP allowing her to clean up house.
And still tough for T1. SCSC does go out in 8th, but Shelty going down in 7th. Bobe holds on for at least a 6th here.
Massive Pyro Emblem here being taken by Serene. I believe it was a deny play on the side of Bintum, because he's already rolling in with those multi-strikers in the top of the lobby here. Good play here. The question is, how do you position the Wu Jinx to survive those melee carries coming in from both Bintum and the other board, I believe from Bobe?
We're seeing still for YGQF. Continues to be on Rise 1. 2 portal players instead of just that singular player that has that emblem to play an uncontested line. Is now having trouble, finally finds it, but is it too little too late? It's a 7-loss streak, and he's down to 1 life.
Bobe has scrapped long enough to potentially find his way into top 4 with YGQF and Serene both being on 1 life. If Bintum can rotate into Serene, it might be it, but it's Dooney. And Dooney might also have the power, right? This is going to be that 7 Eldritch. All of those 3 costs being rerolled on this side of the board. The Jinx trying to chew through the Mordekaiser. This is a front to back, and Jinx is on the proper side. The Neela not going to wrap. The Wukong staying alive, but the Syndra has scaled enough. Dooney takes out Serene. On the other side, YGQF against Bobe. Can Bobe do it?
And the Gwen do it again. This time she gets stunned, but all of a sudden she's back into the backline. Now she gets taken down. Rise is still alive, as is Nora. That will be it for that fight. YGQF does stay alive.
YGQF keeping the hopes of Wolves alive in this game. If he loses that fight, that would have done it, but now it is 2-2 left remaining in the game.
Wolves critically does have a +2 points in the bottom of the lobby, so T1 does have to go 1-3 here to finally clinch out this game. That was so huge. The Gwen and the Fiora actually going different directions. Gwen going back towards the Taric there gives enough time for YGQF to save his board.
And YGQF has hit now all of his upgrades. Bintum, the tempo multi-striker player, can he cap out high enough to outlast YGQF? He is still on 2 lives. And can Dooney with the Giant and Mighty, with the Mordekaiser 3, with the Syndra, with Spirit Piranha, win these last few fights?
YGQF going up against Lee Sao. Really can't afford a team kill here. Need to keep YGQF alive, need to deny Dunijuni and Bintum the ability to go for a 1-3 or a 1-2. YGQF gonna stay alive, but Lisao losing some HP.
All they need is YGQF alive. He is a designated win-out player. If he gets the first place, no matter what T1 does, they will win this game.
I don't want to jinx it, but we're entering the territory of the desperate pleas. We're in stage 6. This is a charm that can single-handedly turn really the tide when it comes to these last few events, these last few fights.
Still a lot of these critical upgrades available on the side for YGQF. Diana 2, Nami 2 on the board. And of course, if you get the TK and the Xerath, you can transition into that direction as well.
And the Lucky Gloves, but doesn't find a TG on the Amel does find some extra bit of MR Shred and a final Taric item as well.
Story of 8.
Uh-oh, Dragon has been found. One of the big
Versus.
combat strength charms in this stage 6.
See if Bintum can have that make the difference. He was falling quite low, but the Dragon could turn the tides of the fight, maybe allowing him to take down YGQF or even just Lisao. Hold on for an extra fight.
If Bintum can survive, he's stacking that 5 Pyro, getting the attack speed across the entire board. All they need is the portal player to fall, and he is going to rotate into him.
Last second move from Bintum, trying to get his melee carries on the proper side. Kali's not going to find her way into the back line. The Rise is safe for now, but the Dragon will buy a lot of time for Kassadin. Kali gets all the way to the back, but does go down. There's not quite enough. The front line, I'm the carry now, is now the tank. The portal still sending out Krugs. It's just Kalista. She can't do it. YGQF holds on. Bintum goes down.
And we're talking about portal units, but Nami, really the queen of that fight. 2 massive Leviathans sweep through that entire board, stunning the Kassadin, stopping the Rage Blade stacking on that backline Kalista.
I just want to say Wolves have mathematically already clinched this game. They've already been the victory. I like what Bintum tried to do. He tried to get the Dragon splash damage onto the backline. Unfortunately, the angle was just a little bit off, and the Rise wasn't sniped there. Congratulations for Wolves to coming back.
Yeah, Wolves tying it up 1-1. Incredibly close. Coming down to just very little bits of positioning, very little bits of fight RNG between these two teams. Just the difference of Serene losing to Bobe or Bintum beating YGQF in these final moments would change the course of this series drastically.
And we called it before this game begun. Something like the Portal +1 could be the difference maker in terms of finding an alternate game plan. That was the fight that mattered the most in the end, with the elimination on Bintum and the strength of this portal board once you have the 8 portal and all of your upgrades as well.
It's extremely rare to see a team who has a win-out player actually lose in the rest of the matchup here. So, you know, good job on Wolves' part for putting the pressure on. I think unfortunate for Bobe didn't miss with that dual purpose. And that was kind of the start to the comeback for Wolves, getting that 8th player down, being able to focus on the rest of the team.
Commendations to Shelty for getting a 7th here with the combination of support items on his Golem at 2-1. Really, you're laughing, Clement, but it's an incredibly difficult combination to make work because they are literally anti-synergy, as you mentioned at the start of the game. One item you want to backline, the next you want to have pop immediately. All in all, a very good 7th that, again, forced the need for the top 3 from Bintum. A 4th could have been enough otherwise.
And once again, we're getting out of this series some new innovations. We saw the Jinx Woo. Now we're getting the 7 Eldritch version. Yes, we've seen some Eldritch Syndra before, but this time even rerolling for the Neela to cap out even higher. Dunijuni does pick up the first place, but Wolves get the win in the match.
And for Dunijuni, not the win for T1, but I really also want to commend his understanding of the bigger picture. We saw in the Stage 2 carousel, not picking up a bow to slam a Nashor's or a Rage Blade, instead looking for a Shojin component, knowing maybe that it's Prismatic Party, that there is a chance for the Radiant Refractor, which has been an incredibly big warping augment across this entire tournament, has that perfect setup, has a Giant and Mighty with the Mordekaiser 3 as well, and all in all, an incredibly strong, unstoppable board to win this game despite Wolves as a team